Bookwormies, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books I read in the month of February. Now, the month of February was kind of chaotic, I will not lie. And I read a lot of books. And when I mean a lot, I mean like a lot. It's like last year I think I only had 1 month that had this many books because there's never been this many, honestly. I don't remember a lot of times that I read this many. But anyways, in February's month I read 21 books. 21. So we got into the double digits, we got into the 20s. So yeah, we have a lot to go through. We have a few new releases in here. There are, well, two technically. And we have some romance, obviously, because February is the month of love. And so now we are going to talk about it, okay? So first book I read in February, technically this one that was before. So first book I read in the month of February was Onyx Storm. I technically started it on January 31st and then finished it on February the 1st. Like, I read it in a day, and you guys know me, this is a new release by literally Rebecca Yarros, one of my favorite authors ever. Like,
ever since I discovered her last year, I haven't stopped talking about her. Like, you come into my channel, if you don't hear about her at least once a day, well, I don't think you know me that well anymore. I don't think you're watching the right videos, buddy.
But I just decided to finally read Onyx Storm because I've been trying to get a hold of it. I literally got the physical copy a few days ago, and a month has passed since the book came out. That's how impossible it was to get it. It's in my bookshelf currently, relaxing, meeting his buddies, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I rated Onyx Storm
5 stars. Like, did you expect anything? Did you expect I would rate it any less than 5 stars? Because if you did, you really don't know me. You really need to go watch my old videos because
honestly, I would have not, like, I sobbed in this book. I just getting flashbacks from it. I'm like, oh my god, stay far away from me, because every time I look at this book, every time I think about it, I'm going crazy. And every time that Pinterest or YouTube decides to be mean to me, like, let's show her an edit of Onyx Storm, it puts me back into it. Just thinking, like, just seeing the quotes and what happened in the book, it just really threatens to give me a reading slump. Like, I read a lot of books this month, especially just after, like, Onyx Storm and all that, but still, I still think about it daily. Like, except for Shatter Me, and obviously, like, a few other books, like The Lost Cities and all that stuff, not many books have literally forced into my mind so much that it's been engraved. Every scene, every thought, every sentence, every little detail is engraved in my brain. Like, I could tell you the whole plot right now, but I won't, because I will literally die. Like, it's just a lot to process. This book was amazing. The banter was, well, it's just so sweet, and like what Violet was ready to do for Xaden just warmed my heart. I just love their dynamic in this book. The ending, Rebecca strikes again. Rebecca really knows how to end a book with a bang, because, like, I don't expect anything less from her, because knowing Rebecca, it could be so much worse. But just the way that this ended, so many things happened, and I'm already scared. I'm already thinking, like, who's gonna be the next person we love that's gonna die in the next book, because Rebecca has to kill at least one person we love every book of the series. It's become a staple. Like, now every time, like, I literally watched a video that Jamie Foxx released, like a short, where she was like asking her friends, like, during like the day before it released, and she was like, which character do you think will die in Onyx Storm? It's already become a staple that we're now guessing which character will die, and that scares me, because that's the last thing I want to think about. Next, I read Practice Makes Perfect, my first Sarah Adams book, and honestly, I gotta say, she is really good with giving, like, this banter. It just was the perfect book, and as I read it throughout my Onyx Storm vendetta and throughout afterwards, it really helped me get out of an Onyx Storm slump a bit. Helped, not a lot, obviously, because Onyx Storm is top tier, but whatever. Anyways, Practice Makes Perfect was a great book. It was amazing. It had everything you wanted. It was sweet. It was bantery. It's just like eating a soft marshmallow. It's just so sweet, so soft. It's like a pillow. Like, I just love it. It slows down your fall. It was amazing. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really, really good, and I love her books. Like, I want to read more. Like, I also read another book by her in this month. I'll talk about it later, but, like, this was just perfect. It was just exactly what I needed. A cutesy romance. Perfect. Especially for the month of Valentine's Day. But there's another few books that I read for like specifically Valentine's Day, but yeah. Anyways, next I read Yellowface, another R.F. Kuang book. If you guys know, last year I read the whole Poppy War trilogy. It was a gruesome trilogy, a lot of things happening. It was fantasy and all that. And I was like, you know what? She's coming out with Calabasas this year. Let's read another book by her. Now I was between two books, obviously, Babel or Yellowface. Babel intimidates the hell out of me. Intimidates the hell out of me. So I was like, okay, let's read Yellowface. Maybe it's not too long. It's perfect. And I don't know, it was catching my attention. After Onyx Storm, I felt like a fantasy was not what I needed. I needed something softer. So I read into Yellowface. This book is very different, I feel like, from the popular trilogy. Like, very different. It talks more about, like, emotional health and all that. And it talks more about, like, how authors and how the publishing world works. And I loved seeing that. Like, knowing that the authors that I read their books from, like, have those kind of problems just I used to think that I'd maybe one day be an author. This scares me. Like, seeing how it is, it's like if you get into the right path from the start, you're good to go. But if like you get the wrong start or you don't have the right connections, your book might not even get published or might not get the recognition it maybe even deserve. Like, maybe it's a hidden gem, something amazing, but because it just nobody saw it and it flopped, it's just kind of sad. And there's a lot of the talks here, and I really loved how this book dealt with it. And I give it 4.25 stars. Really good. And I really enjoyed the narrative. The narrative was very interesting. Next, I read my next Sarah Adams books, The Cheat Sheet. I have one more book by that in that series left, and I'm planning to read it this month, whether you like it or not. Okay, so I read The Cheat Sheet, another great book. It was so interesting. I really loved it. I don't remember much about this book. Like, I feel like practice makes perfect. No, I remember The Cheat Sheet. I remember because I accidentally swapped what I thought were about either of them, but they were still both of them were really good books. Like, they stay on the same level. They were really good. They were just like Practice Makes Perfect is the second book in the series, and you saw more of the family aspect. But The Cheat Sheet was so sweeter, and I loved the dynamic between the girl and the guy's friends. They were so fun, and I just loved the storyline. I loved how he tried to win her over. It was just the perfect thing I needed. It was like a fluffy blanket, like exactly what I needed. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was really good. It was just there. It was just exactly what I needed. Next, I was like, okay, what do I read now? Because I had nothing to read, mind you. I had no idea what I was going to read, and I kept talking to my TBR, and I was like, none of this interests me. None of it. Like, nada. And I was like, okay, Romy, let's see. I was texting with my best friend, as one does. She's like, hey, I'm reading this book. I'm really loving it. And she told me, this is like one of those, nobody really knows about it, but somehow someone does. And that's how you find out about it. And that is I'll Give You the Sun. Now, this book started really strong, and I'll tell you right away. It's about a story about two twins and how they're trying to get into art school and a few other stuff, obviously. And this is a bit darker, I feel like. And I'll tell you, I only loved one twin, honestly. Like, I grew a bit of respect for the other twin throughout the story, but one twin was just my favorite. Just like that. It's kind of like, they say, like, oh no, I love my children equally. Do you? Anyways, so I read this book. It was interesting. It started off strong, but then as it continued and we got more of the perspective of the twin that I didn't really care about, I just kind of lost interest, and I was like, when are we gonna finish? When? And I ended up giving it only a 3 stars because I was just like, I just don't feel enough for it to give a higher rating. Like, it could have been great. It had the potential, and it could have been, and it probably could have if I was in the right headspace, but I was just in the mood for something quick and fast paced, and this was a bit more, not chill, but like there. I don't know how to explain it. Next, I moved on to reading The Sweetest Oblivion, my first official dark romance, because I'm pretty sure Butcher and Blackbird counts as a dark romance, but this one was just, I felt like it was the official one. And this book was very interesting. I really loved it. Very, very spicy. Like, as one knows, I hope, dark romance is very, very, very spicy, usually. This wasn't the spiciest, but it was very good. It was very good introduction for me to get into dark romance. Like, I could totally see myself continuing to read dark romance, maybe once in a while, trying a new series of dark romance. But this one was very interesting. It was very good. I really loved the dynamic and the banter, and it was just exactly perfect. It was just perfect. And I was like, and there was this one secret, and I was like, I don't know what is it. So I really loved it. I gave it 4.25 stars.
It isn't the official greatest romance ever, but it's good.
Next, I read the second book, The Maddest Obsession, and I love this one. This one was so funny, and there was like these parts where I was like, Yes. Like, I was really happy with parts of the books. It was very interesting. It was really fast paced. And all of these books in the series were just like very fast and they were very short. Like, they weren't too long, which is exactly what I want in the moment. But I give this one 4 stars. It was good, but it could have been greater. Then we go into the third and final book in this series, The Darkest Temptation. No. This book was a no for me. I'm surprised I didn't rate it lower, and honestly, except for the grand gesture at the end, I literally did not give a bleeping hell about the book. I literally did not care about the couple. I hated the main male character. I was like, are you done? I do not want to hear about you. I don't want to see you talk or anything. And I gave this book 3.25 stars. If not for the grand, I'll repeat it and I'll say it forever. If not for the grand gesture at the end of the book, I would have said goodbye to this book years ago. Like, I was just like, just for the video, I will continue reading it, because otherwise I would have said goodbye, kicked his ass, and said, woof, it was nice to get rid of it. But at least I read it. So yeah, we got it over with. Like, not the greatest book ever, but I did it. Next, I read Good Girl Bad Blood, the second book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Because I decided, we had a dark romance just before it. Now let's go fully, because there was like a bit of mafia. This one, time to go full on in with like mystery thriller. Let's see what happens. And I liked this book. It was not too horrible. I expected it to be much, much worse than it was, because I didn't really like the first book. It was just there for me, but it wasn't the greatest mystery thriller I've ever read. Like, honestly, Five Survive by Holly Jackson, amazing. But this series by her, it was like meh. I felt like at the start, I felt like it was like, when am I ever going to finish a Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy? Kind of the same feeling I had with Cruel Prince. But this book got better than the first one. But Cruel Prince got worse. Well, not worse, it just felt like meh. And so I read Good Girl Bad Blood. I gave it 3.5 stars. It wasn't the greatest book, mystery thriller known to mankind. Like, The Only One Left, amazing perfection. Five Survive, so fast paced, so good. And what was it called? Another one that was like quirky, but it was also so fun. I don't remember its name. It was also good, but this was also not by far the worst thriller I read. Like, there was another book, I don't remember its name, but it was just not there for me. But this was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a nice continuation to the series. So then I decided to read, I was like, Romy, you gotta continue your series. You're up to like, at that point, I think I had like 25, 26 books on my TBR, and I was like, in my series I'm still in the middle of, and I was like, Romy, you gotta continue. You're never gonna finish all of these series if you literally start new ones and then forget about ones that you read the first book of and then just stop. So I was like, okay, Romy, we are continuing. And I read These Infinite Threads, which is the second book in this Woven Kingdom. Mainly, I also read this because I was like, okay, Romy, before Watch Me comes out, you've got to finish the series. Later, I found out that there's also going to be like 2 more books coming out. One of them is coming out this year, and another one probably next year or the year after. We don't know yet. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm still going to read the second one, obviously. And I enjoyed it. This wasn't my favorite To Hear Mafia book. It was, I feel like I loved the banter, but I just didn't care for one of the characters. I was just like, okay, I'm done with him. Like, why is he even here anymore? But I still enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. It was really nice. It was the perfect part to like continue the February month. It was really good. It was a good fantasy. It wasn't very high stakes, but it was good. I feel like this is what I've been saying the whole video. It was good, but it could have been great. Like, all of these books here are good, but they weren't amazing, except for Onyx Storm. Like, none of these got a 5 stars except for Onyx Storm in this video. But it's okay. Next, I decided, you know what? Let's try to read a Nelsie Silver book, because I've been hearing so much about the Chestnut Spring series and so much about her newest series that she's like continuing on, like the Wild Love, Wild Eyes, Wild Side, and then whatever the new book's name is. I don't know yet. I don't remember. But I was like, okay, Romy, you do not want to go into the Chestnut Spring series, because like I think like 6 books long or 7 even, and I was like, okay, we have enough series in the middle of, so let's do a different one. And there's another series called Gold Rush Ranch series, which is like, let me see, I think 5 books long. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 books, and one of them is a novella. And I was like, perfect, exactly what I want. And I'll read it through the month of February. Maybe if I don't finish it in time, then also March. But I finished it. And I started off straight with Off to the Races, and I gave this book 3.75 stars. It wasn't the greatest book ever, but I loved the banter. The banter was so quick and witty, so just like there in the moment, perfect for what I was looking for. So then I was like, okay, let's go into the second book, Out of the Gate, which I gave 4.25 stars. Really good. It was a novella, super short, super sweet, and there wasn't obviously a lot in the book because it's a novella. It's like, I think like 100 pages long. Let me check because I'm actually kind of interested. Yeah, 107 pages. So like short, witty, smart, exactly what I wanted in the moment. Like just a good romance, just to get it in with. So I was really happy, and I was like, okay, let's go into the third book. And I read A Photo Finish. Now, what was this one about? Who were the? Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one had a lot more trauma. Like the first and second book, like yeah, there were a few like challenges in the road, a few like rock, like bumpy roads. But this one talked more about like mental health, a bit more about like their past, and I love that. And the main male character had like so much darkness in him, and I was just like, perfect. I love that. And I gave it 4 stars. Still not the greatest book, but I really loved it. It was so interesting. And I was like, okay, Romy, we're starting a new series. Because I was like, we need something else to read except for just that series. So, because like I started reading 2 books at the same time. And I was like, okay, let's read Scarlet Princess. It has 4 books, fantasy, some romance, simple. Let's do that. It's a great idea. So I started reading Scarlet Princess. I gave it 3 stars. Not the greatest book to be written ever. Not the greatest romance, fantasy for sure. Like it was good, but it could have been great. It could have been great, honestly. It just didn't have a lot going on, and I wasn't really interested in the characters. It was just there, and I was just like, meh. I didn't really feel for anything for it. It was just okay. It was just there, like nothing over the top craziness, nothing that really brought my attention. So then I continued, and I was reading at the side, of course, The Front Runner, continuing with the Gold Rush Ranch series, and this book was a 4 stars. So much more problems, so much more was like put to light, and I loved it. And like yes, there were a few parts where I felt like I wanted to strangle the character because they were being dumb, but like, hey, I enjoyed it, didn't I? So that was good. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite book in the series, honestly. Now that I think of it, yeah, actually no, maybe it's this one or the one before, Photo Finish. Even though they're like 4 stars, and Out of the Gate was 4.25. That's totally okay. Anyway, and then I was like, okay, I read Scarlet Princess. I have to continue the series. So I read the second book called Tarnished Crown. Much better than the first one, just not there yet. It was like it was slowly building up, and I was enjoying it more. Like the second book was like sweeping its way up. Like slowly we were gonna get there to something interesting, because this book was more like, if you're looking for fantasy that's just simple, not too hard on you, just like very easy to read, not a lot of world building, not a lot of drama, that's what you should read. It was good, but it could have been great. So 3.75, good. Then next I read the last book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, A False Start. So this book was also pretty good. I don't remember much from it, but it just wasn't there on the perfection. Like I said, The Front Runner and A Photo Finish, which were much better. A False Start was good, but I felt like we didn't really see much. I don't know. I gave it 3.75 stars. It was a good finish to the series. And I was like, there's no loose lens. I feel like it's good. It's pretty good. So then I was like, okay, good. Now let's go to the next book, which is As Good as Dead, the last book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. Because I was like, Romy, you already finished the second book. You have 1 book left, and then you can be done with the series. You can cross it off your list. What is better than that? Nothing. So I read it, and I love this book. This book was by far the best one out of the series. The best. Like so many people are like, oh, I love the first book. Like a lot of people love the first book. The second book was okay for them because many people say like it's like a known thing in the book world. The second books in series usually are very like just filler books. They're just there to build up for the third one. So I was like, but I was like pleasantly surprised with this one. Like this book was more to do with Pip's mental health, and not, but it was also a lot to do with mystery. There's a lot going on, a lot of heavy subjects that I was like wondering like, is this still YA? Is it still YA? Like with all of that it's talking about? Like really? But I wasn't gonna complain because I enjoyed this book. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It was just amazing. Like for a thriller, a mystery thriller, I really enjoyed it. And for something YA supposedly, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was really fast paced, and I got through it really, really quickly. Then I read The Favorites, a new release that came out in January, of 2025, and this was okay. I enjoyed the start of it. It's kind of like a gossip column, you can kind of say, and it has to do with like ice dancing, and it was very interesting. It was very entertaining, but I loved the start. I loved how it started. Like the first, like the prologue chapter, whatever it was called. I love that one. That was just like exactly like perfect. And then I was like, I was enjoying myself through most of the book, but then the last like 30-20% of the book, I was just like, I don't know, it made my skin crawl. Like, if you guys go to the video where I read this book, you'll get it. Like, I was literally like, I don't know, it just kind of annoyed me, and I was like, oh, please, just end it for me, like, for the sake. Like, I don't know, I get these feelings sometimes where I'm like, okay, like, it's kind of like when I crochet for a very long while, and my hands just feel weird. They don't feel numb, they don't feel like cramped, they just feel like, oh my god, I hate the feeling of it. So I was like, okay, let's just get this book through with. Let's finish it up. I don't want to look at it anymore. I give it 3.5 stars. I don't know. The ending just, like, the last 20-30%, I don't know why. It just didn't go for me. It just didn't. It just didn't land. So then I read Crimson Kingdom, the third book in the whole Watchland Feud series, where it started with Scarlet Princess and all that. And I enjoyed this book. This book was really good. I loved the banter in this book. I loved the family aspect. I will say this again, and I will say this for the rest of my life. The third book's family aspect, it made me want to marry Rowan instead of who she married in the end, because I'm not going to say who it is. Like, I wanted to marry into her family. Her family was amazing. I love them. They were just like a close-knit family. Exactly what I would have wished for. Like, honestly, amazing. I loved this book for that. It didn't have a lot, though, of action, I'll say the truth, that's for sure. But it was really good in that kind of aspect. I felt like it was building up towards the last book. And it did, because last book that I read in February was Obsidian Throne, the last book in that series, and I gave it 4.25 stars. It was really good. Like, the third book really did build up to the fourth and final one. It was exactly perfectly. It had a lot more action. Like, it was like they took out like 80% of the action from the first 2-3 books, and then they put it into the into the fourth book, and I loved it. It was perfect. It was like it's not that I would change anything about it. It's more that it just wasn't at the top tier, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was really fast paced. Like, I was like, I went to the ending and I was like, oh, we're done. Wow, that was quick. Huh. I barely made it. Like, I barely sweated through it. Like, really good. So I was really happy with how it ended. It was perfect, and it gave me a perfect ending to February. So, guys, in total, I feel like this month, though it only had 1 5-star, and it had a few like downsides, a few books that gave me the ick, a few books that I was like, okay, and a few books that were like, you're good, but you could have been great. I feel like it was a great month. I read in total, let's see, I want to see how many fantasies and romances specifically I read this month, because I know I only read 2 thrillers. No, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fantasies I read this month, and Yellow Face, it's like literary fiction, so I'm not counting out of it. And then 1, 2, okay, so romance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And favorites, I don't know. It's kind of like a gossip column, less romance. So 10 romances, 6 fantasies, 1 literary fiction. I'll give you the Sun. I don't know what I'd call it. It's like a romance, but not exactly. The favorites, whatever that is. I'll give you the Sun, whatever that is, and then 2 thrillers. So I feel like in all, February was a great month, and I really enjoyed all the books that I read in this month. So I hope you guys did too. I hope you found a few new books that you wanted to add to your TBR, even though you're probably there with like 200 books in there or more, but that's totally okay, because what's a TBR if it's never ending? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I guess I'll see you guys next time for the next video, and don't forget to tune in next month for our March wrap. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Bye-bye.